Jesus, thank you so much for coming on the Winner's Paradigm podcast, brother. I've been following you for a hot fucking minute on Instagram. And every time I see you, bro, you're just killing it every fucking day, pushing yourself to the max. So before we jump into who you are, and all that, I wanted to give a little bit of insight, who you are, what you're passionate about, brother.
Yes, sir. Hey, man. Once again, thank you for the opportunity to, speak on your podcast, man. So who I am, I grew up in the city of Los Angeles, man. I grew up, in and out of, out of juvenile hall and whatnot. I grew up doing the wrong thing, and I got tired of it, man. So I stepped up to the plate, and I flipped my mindset, man. So now what I'm all about is, fitness, mindset, and growing. Because if you're not constantly waking up every day and you want to conquer, the day and see what it has, for you, then that's how you already messed it up, man. Because life has so much to offer to you than just settling for less.
Oh, 100%, brother. And I love the way that you said that, especially, when you were talking about growing up and then just not being around the right motherfuckers. And that was me, dude. Like it was funny because up until 10, I was in Fresno and different fucking mindset. Like I was fighting in fucking preschool. To this day, bro, I don't wear Chucks. I wear Vans every fucking day. And everybody's always like, why you wear Vans? I start laughing because while I was in preschool, I got in a fight because some little white kid came to me and he was like, black boys don't wear Vans, and then started fighting me. And then he had a wife beater on. So I went home. My dad whipped my ass, was like, you need to go back out there, whip this dude's ass. So whipped his ass. And then it was funny because my mom, she's like, they don't know that you're Mexican. And I'm like, yeah, so it was always that same shit. And it was like, all right, well, I can't be around the black crowd, I'm around the Mexicans, but I know how to listen and understand Spanish, but I can't speak it. And then it was just like, okay, well, I'm gonna get out of this environment. So I go to a good environment and they're like, oh, where are you from? Yeah, you're not with us. So then again, attracting the same people, doing the same shit, going into high school, friends slanging, cousins strung out on meth, sending motherfuckers after me. And that's where I learned how to play the system, was like, all right, I'm going to make this shit work for me, but I know that this isn't long-term of what I'm going to do with my life. So for you, brother, when you were trying to navigate, going to the service, figuring out how to get all these ducks in a row, because you realize the people you're around may have been good people, but they were just in their own way, going through their own shit. What was it like when you had that mental jump to where you started understanding who you surrounded yourself with was everything?
So I started realizing when I was changing, when I wanted to change, when I really noticed it, when I'm like, man, what am I doing? I'm doing something wrong because every day I go outside the streets, something bad happens to me, and I'm like, man, what the fuck am I doing to deserve this? And so and so everything kind of fell into place. I'm like, all right, man, your the energy you put out there is exactly what you bring right back to you. If you go out there looking for problems, it's gonna come right back to you, man. Doesn't matter if it comes back in a fight, it could be in a financial relationship. Just that energy you attract. So I was like, man, I'm doing something wrong. And so I started putting one and two together. I'm like, okay, man, I need to switch up my mentality. And that's when it kind of was hard to switch over because when you grow up doing wrong all your life and you switch into doing right, it doesn't feel right. You're like, what the fuck am I doing? So every now and then I was like, man, what am I doing? Like doing right. I'm like, this is not me. I'm that gangbanger in the streets that that likes to put in work. That's who I thought I was. But at the end of the day, it's all we know. It's all that we really knew. So it was kind of difficult to change. But hey, man, at the end of the day, that's when you got to step out of your comfort zone. Because if you don't step out of your comfort zone in that little bubble, then you will never change. You got to put yourself in those situations to see what you're really capable of. So until I put myself in that situation, I'm like, okay, man, like this is what I got to do to change and shit.
Bro, I love the way you said that, because that was something I went through as well. It was around those people. My cousin starts gang banging people around me, and then one of my boys got into trouble, and it was cool because he got caught up for having way too much weed. And I would get caught. So like my fucking sophomore year of high school, just run it back real quick. Fucking transferred schools, and then all my friends from elementary, I was like, oh, I can still hang out with these dudes, and everybody was doing dumb shit, slanging, banging. So I got called in the office one day because I was that dude that would get everybody out of trouble every time. And already getting my backpack searched, but I just knew, I was like, I ain't gonna have shit on me, and I would tell them that. And it was funny because one day, one of my buddies, he got caught up, and like this was the most solid motherfucker I ever met. What I mean? Big dude. Went to juvie, came back, changed. He was just like, man, you don't want to go over there. All the other boys were like, nah, fuck that, let's go back. All happy about that shit. And I'm sitting there, and then the vice principal, which I was talking to all the fucking time because I was going through shit with my parents. Fucking, he was just like, yeah, the people you have around you is important, but just to let you know, like, you can tell when a man changed. And that shit hit me because I seen that, with one of my boys. Was like, this dude showed up differently to life. He made sure that he was the prioritizing everybody else, making sure that everybody else understood, what they needed to do and how he needed to show up as a better version for him. And that was something for me as well, where it was figuring out what to do, but more importantly, aligning those characteristics of that man to where we need to be. Yeah, so cover up that story. To this day, that's one of my ride or die dudes. Why? Because he is not like most people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, my bad, man. I don't know what happened.
All good. I was like,
Yeah.
I'll just finish the story. But yeah, so one of my boys, that's what happened with him. And it was cool. I love this dude being around him because he was just instrumental in like showing me the ropes, you know what I mean? And being like, hey, you're around all this shit. For me, I was smart. I had the good grades and I would just play everybody like I'm stupid. And like everybody knew what was up, you know what I mean? But I would just play like, oh nah, man, I don't want any smoke. And then start fighting whatever. Everybody's looking at me like, what the fuck? Like, why do you act like that? And I'm just fucking with people. And that dude like really helped me out because he was showing me like, hey, these things that we're doing, whatever it is, isn't that. But for me, it was more of the protection, whatever it is, because I ran into some shit early on where it was other people, not even me, that I was associating with. My cousin stole some fucking dude's iPod, and the homeboy came chasing me with a bat in 5th grade. So I was just like, don't go down that street, and thinking all these different fucking things instead of understanding like, hey, if you just don't talk to these fuck ups, if you just hold yourself differently to different standards, it's going to be different for you. And it was funny because when I got in the Marine Corps, like all this shit from the street went into that. When I was at the schoolhouse, these East Coast motherfuckers were just slapping people around, pushing them around. We're selling our fire watches. And I was like, bro, this shit is more hood than the actual hood was because we're just fucking fighting every day. And they're like, God, you don't fucking say anything. The West Coast is weak. And we're like, bro, you don't know where we're from. Like, you ain't going to survive. So it was funny because it was like that competitiveness, even though it's within organization, it was like just learning that you and some other people aren't the same based off the way you came up. And even in the ones that are, fronting that they're so fucking hard, you're like, bro, I know you're not. Like, if it really comes down to it, when we look at that, man, you got to admire the workouts every single day, putting the time in. You preach on this all the time, bro, on what you're eating and consuming in your body. Those are what makes that man we admire. So for someone or one of your clients, brother, who's working, trying to figure out how to reverse that, and get shredded, trying to, make these lifestyle changes, what do you tell them? What are the things that you're getting them on program about?
So as soon as somebody, they want to hop on the program and they want to change, the first thing I always tell them is, man, look, you once you change the mind, the body will follow. So life is an internal job. You can't just work on the outside without working on the inside. Because it doesn't matter if you end up achieving the physique. If you end up fucking getting shredded or whatnot. If you don't have the right mindset, it doesn't matter what life puts in front of you because you'll crack. So along the way, as I'm helping people, achieve their their physical goals and standards that they want to reach, I'm helping them along the way to create that mindset as well. Because at the end of the day, as well, if you don't have your nutrition log, if you're not following your carbs, your fats, your protein, it doesn't matter if you do all these crazy ass workouts, high intensity fasting and whatnot, you're not gonna burn fat, because that's after you're done burning all those calories and fat off, you'll go home and eat like a little nice dinner right after you're done, and you'll gain it right back, and people end up being in this this never ending loop of of regret because they're like, fuck, what am I doing wrong,
Bro, I love the way that you said that. That was fucking me, and I was pissed yesterday, looking at some Marine Corps photos, and I was like, fuck, dude, I don't have anything where I was sober. But two, I was fucking drinking like crazy because, people don't realize that stress is fucking something else because it's just always dumb shit that you can't control. And then it's that one motherfucker where you're just like, bro, all you had to do was the basic shit and you fucked this up, So for me, it was like, I was looking back on it, bro. And I was like, the weight for me was such a fucking issue because I was already stocky. And then drinking, I know for a damn fact, I wouldn't be able to lose the fucking weight because I used to always see that, oh, I can't lose the weight. I would go get blood work done and then alcohol doesn't show up on there. And then I'm like, what the fuck's wrong with me? And they're like, oh, maybe it's cancer. Maybe you have a thyroid issue. And I'm like, I don't fucking know why I'm gaining weight. And it was because on the fucking weekend or Thursday, well, yeah, you know what I mean? Sometimes Thursdays, but Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I was drinking a gallon of whiskey and just fucking going fucking crazy and being down for whatever comes, and it was like, man, that's not aligning to that. So I love the way you said mindset. And that's why I started fucking with you, was seeing you show up every single day. And that's what's funny as fuck, is people don't realize that. And I actually used you as an example to one of my clients' buddies the other day. Was guy called me, and I joined a dad group with him a year ago, and he was talking about like, no one cares about me. I don't have any value to the world. And I'm like, bro, you were a simp when you joined the group. You're fucking crying about your issues and woe is me, and I look like shit. And then this man like started getting in shape a little bit. He's not where he wants to be, but different mindset, took accountability for his actions, understood that everything happened to him was for him. And I was like, bro, my man Jesus, like, look him up, Hardhead Fit. I was like, this dude shows up every fucking day. Like every day you're gonna see this dude do burpees, whatever. He's like, how did you start doing that? I'm like, because I seen this dude do it, and I'm like, doing it. I know I got to be doing that as well. It's like my thing is some days do it, some days I'm not feeling well. I was like, it's every fucking day. So I was literally showing your page and being like, hey man, like this is a guy I can connect you with. Great fucking dude. But more importantly, it's like you need the people around you that you can rely on. And for me, I've always been those dudes too, where it's like I'll say I don't fuck with anybody, but really it's not that. It's just if it's that one dude that I know that's showing up every day, doing exactly what he says, I can trust him by his word, and I can trust who he is. It's easier. And people don't realize that. They think that, oh, we can have all these fucking friends, we can party, we can do all these things, but they don't realize it's like all that negativity or all those little patches fucking seep everywhere else in your life. And you don't realize it until it's that oh shit moment.
Yep. Hell yeah, man. I like that last little quote you said right there, bro, because it's very true. A lot of people think, okay, like I'm gonna start changing, but I'm gonna keep the same friends. I'm gonna keep the same homies that I've been fucking up with. But people don't understand that the reason why you've been fucking up is because of those, that same circle that you've been around. You know, it doesn't matter if you become positive, if you stop drinking and you become, you start elevating your vibration levels or whatnot. Their negativity is gonna pull you towards them. So it's gonna pull their problems to you because you just surrounding yourself with them. You know, if you hang around people that don't have goals or like the like-minded mindset, when you talk about, oh man, I'm trying to grow this business, or I'm trying to get this car or this house, or I'm trying to be a millionaire, it's gonna sound like you're bragging to them because they don't have any goals. So they're like, look at this motherfucker just talking out of his ass. So they start hating and shit, and that's not that. That's why I always say, in order to change, you must change your circle first. Everything around you must change in order for you to grow.
Boom, brother. And I know
Yeah.
that exact same fucking thing. One of my boys, I used to bum it on his fucking couch because in high school, really when I was 16, I moved back with my mom, and then my stepdad and me would always get into shit. Or we'd go off, say some racist shit. I'm like, I can get down with that. And then
Yep.
we're fighting. So I would end up moving out, go to my friend's house, and basically just go home, do my shit, leave every day.
Yep.
And one of my boys, like, we had fucking nothing. You know what I mean? He had no food. House was a fucking disaster. Like, not to my standard. I didn't even want to be there, but it was cool. His parents always showed love. And then two, we'd be throwing parties. So I was just like, well, I'm going to get faded and then girls are going to come, So it was a different mindset. And it was funny when I got in the Marine Corps because I stopped going over there, and it was like, why? I was like, homeboy, just want to smoke weed all day. I was like, I can't do that. I'm not about to pop on a piss test. I have buddies that would be like, oh, my leave smoking weed. And I'm like, why the fuck would you do that? And two, why the fuck would you tell me that? So it was where it was like, that's where I started learning setting the example. Was like, I don't want to be fucking doing these things and then going off and telling the wrong things. But two, was that same conversations was like, I've always had this bigger vision. And I'm like, bro, I don't want to be around here. You know what I mean? Like, I fucking hate where I'm from. It's not necessarily because of that, like I could be proud of it. It's just the dumb shit, bro. It's the walking down the street. What's up? Where are you from? And then now we're fucking squabbling, or it's the fucking people staring at you. And I'm like, I get paranoid over that shit. And it's not even that I want to. It's just like, I don't want to be with my family and then be put in a situation where I'm like, I got to slap a motherfucker if I don't have to. But a lot of times people don't have that respect. They don't know whatever. And it was something with that buddy where it was like, oh, you think you're fucking better than us, huh? You think you're fucking this now. Oh, remember in high school, I used to whip your ass in wrestling. Like, oh, you think you're the shit now. And I'm like, bro, I put so much fucking work into myself. Like, I knew that I wasn't good at shit. So I continuously did that. That's why you see me in the gym every day. Like, that's why all these different things. Like, I didn't even have a gym membership, but I was going to the school gym every day because I got the keys for it and was fucking working out. Like, it was a different mindset. But with my boy, he was like, oh, I just want to party, have a good time. We're going to invite some girls over. And I was like, bro, I can't continue to do that because I realized for me, like, obviously I was suppressing the pain. Within that too, I had some crazy shit happen. My stepdad thought my mom was having an affair. Almost shot my wrestling coach. It was like a meter from his face. So I was just fucking pissed, bro. And I used that anger in a good light and was working out like crazy. Bad light was drinking, but I was just violent, bro. And I was just like, I want to roll up on this phone, thinking all this fucking crazy shit. I called my dad and was like, hey, man, I may need you. And then when it really came down to it, a couple years later, it was like, I'm fucking grateful that God didn't let me go do that fucking mission that I was so fucking sought on, because I was like, whole life, me having kids, the podcast, and actually, helping people would have been out the fucking door.
Yeah. No, yeah, man. Hey, I'm telling you, man, sometimes, just being around, like how people say, being a product of your environment, we like us humans, we tend to soak up everything that's around us, especially, when you grew up in the wrong area, you soak up everything around you, whether it's like, hey, where you from, or people wearing chucks, people wearing Dickies and pro clubs and everything like that, right, man? But yeah, man, it's true, but at the end of the day, like you said, everything happens for a reason, life doesn't happen to you, happens for you, like how you said earlier, man. And it's true, man, because I was the same way, bro, like, man, I would be outside, like, fucking running around with a fucking gun, like what, like at fucking 14 years old and everything like that, man, So I'm like, like you said, man, I'm grateful that a lot of shit didn't happen, because I wouldn't be where I'm at right now. But at the same time, I look bad. I look past on all the problems that happened to me. I'm glad they happened to me, because it taught me a lesson. It taught me a valuable lesson, and that's how we should look at problems. What can we learn from it and move on from there, man. Because at the end of the day, that's how we grow. You grow through pain.
Man, I love that too. And I love the vulnerability of what you're talking about there. And I had that situation happen with one of my boys where didn't know he had a piece, and then we're in the fucking cuts, and then homeboys just shooting up, bro. Like, I just looked at him and it was just the same shit. It's like policing your own, understanding it, keeping everybody right, and for me, had a bigger vision, and I was just thinking about shit. I'm like, hey, how do I maneuver around this? I want to stay safe. I want to have money. That was my big thing. My hustle was knew everybody who was going to get high, and then going to them and, hey, bro, you need hot Cheetos, you need whatever, and then getting bucks off them. And then eventually it was just money, because my boys were like, oh, I'll give you commissions because you're sending people to me. And it was like, oh, I can do this forever. But for me, like you said, you pick up on all this shit. And for me, I just realized, like, getting away from everything was going to let me have that time to get better, and also realize that, like, that shit's not important versus, being wrapped up in the same bullshit, hearing the same things. I know one thing you could probably agree on is, like, we're so conditioned where we're from to validate the excuses, and like, oh, it's okay for that. It's okay for you to drink if you've been working really hard. It's okay for you to be a piece of shit if you're, taking care of working all fucking day and doing all these things. And it's like, well, the fact is it's not fucking okay, but you guys make it okay. And that's why motherfuckers keep acting like that.
Hell yeah, bro. That's right. That is fire, bro. And it's true, bro, because that's the problem with today's society and today's generation of males, man, because they settle for less, man. Like that one saying goes, we're only limited by poverty of imagination and weakness of attention. So at the end of the day, like when people are like, they see the car, they're like, oh no, I can't get that, because I'm from here. I'm from this street, I'm from this hood, I grew up here. I can't get that. But why can't you get that? Who said you can't? Was it somebody that told you can, or you told yourself you can't? So we start believing that. We start getting conditioned. We start seeing other people like, okay, so like my pops and parents, they separated. So in my mind, I'm like, nah, marriage ain't never gonna work. Or like, how they're renting, I'm like, man, I'm never gonna buy a house, because if they didn't buy a house, then I'm not gonna buy a house. So just like we become conditioned in all these little critical areas in our life. So by the time we grow, we're so brainwashed into everything that we soaked up on, and then by the time we even know it, we're in a hole that's way too deep, man.
Bro, I love that too, and thank you for saying that point. It's the same thing. I realize for me right now, it's like one of the things that I used to get so pissed off about is like men who are so indecisive and I don't fucking know. And I realized that, like, for me, it was my mom. My mom on that side was like, don't do anything, mijo. You're gonna get scared. It's gonna get hurt. Like, whatever it is, you know what I mean? Like, oh, we're Mexican. We just take care of our family. We just do this little thing. Like, we don't need a big house. We don't need this.
Yeah.
And it was just always doing that, and then hearing, and then I remember I used to just get in fights with my mom because she'd be like, you just want to be like your dad, do anything you can for money, be a fucking hustler. And on that side, it was like my dad had the Corvette, he had the girls at all fucking times, whether he was married or not. Like it was fucking crazy. So it was like I understood that that's not exactly what I wanted, but I was like, I want to have that fuck you money and just do whatever I want. Like this dude was just wild. And that was the way I wanted to be, besides the abusive part or whatever, right? So it was funny because I did that same thing. You know, I was like, I'm not going to get married. And then opportunity came and I just jumped on it. And I was like, I don't give a fuck what my parents say. Like, just because I haven't seen a successful marriage doesn't mean that's going to happen for me. Obviously, you know, I got married young. With that came a lot, you know, and been reading on that lately, you know, not knowing who you were. And that's why you jump into things. But it was awesome because, like, I sat there with my wife and I was like, hey, I really appreciate you because I grew up fucked up, a lot of baggage, and we worked through all this shit. And this was something like I never thought I was going to get married, never fucking wanted to get married. I just fucking did it because I was like, you know what? I love her. And two, if this is the girl that I believe I love and I'm putting all my time into, like, why do I need to go for external validation? Why do I need to go fucking party anymore? Like all this shit doesn't fucking suit me. And I knew it was getting me into shit, you know, and even within the marriage, you know, I had to stop drinking. And it was tough from that because that was my identity, what I was. But it was the same things, you know, looking back on it and being like, fuck, dude, do I really want to be like this? Or now I'm fucking blessed because it's like my parents are in their 40s, 50s, still partying. And I'm like, that's why you don't have the shit you want in your life, you know, or that's why your relationships don't measure up. You may have the shit or have the possession that you want, but it's like, you're not going to be happy. And every day you look yourself in the fucking mirror. So I talk about that shit all the time. It's like, you can say whatever you want, but I know if you look in that mirror, there's that one thing that fucking bugs you. And you're like, fuck, man, I know I can be doing better. And for me, that was one of the things. So for you, brother, you're consistent as fuck every single day. One of the things you show is when you go to the field, you still take protein and meal preps out there. Like that's some gangster shit because people don't fucking do that. And you don't see the dedication that people have there. How did that start? And two, what is it like when you're posting those things and then you're getting that feedback from people?
So it started when was it, man? So even when I was like in AIT, so after I finished basic, I jumped in AIT, and I'm like, man, I gotta get my my macros in, man. So I would be in the chow hall getting whatever, fucking drill sergeant screaming at me. But I mean, I didn't give a fuck, man, because at the end of the day, I'm like, hey, man, this is about me, bro. So it started there, I will go to the PX, sneak in a bunch of protein bars and put them in the bladder of my Camelback, sneak them in, have my little stash in the wall. So it started there, bro. And then once I came out, I came right here to my unit and everything. And every time I go to to a field or to go train, I'm always planning ahead of time, man. Cause like how like that quote says, victory favors the one who prepares ahead of time. So I always stack up on everything. Or even when I'm missing a little bit of numbers, I go around, training some memories, like the sweets, the breads. I'm like, hey, bro, hey, you want this? And hey, bro, can I get that beef stick or just like shit like that, right? But yeah, man. Every now and then, when when I'm taking my videos and posting them, I have some sergeants or like some other, some bad boys that just look at me. They're like, "What are you doing, bro?" And I'm like, "Hey, man, I gotta show what I'm doing to the rest of the people so they can see that there's no excuses, man. Even though we're out here training hard, we're out here fucking, doing all this, and we have limited options. It's just to show people that you can still do it. Like that one saying goes, if you really want it, you will do it. Like how people find a way to go drink on the weekend, they can find a way to hit their numbers. They can find a way to go hit the gym.
Bro, that's just so much fucking facts, dude. Like,
Yeah.
uh, first part, I love the way that you said that because that's something I've always really done. Was when it was in boot camp. Well, boot camp I ate like shit on purpose because I knew that I can fucking eat like shit, and then started eating cleaner. But every single meal was like cottage cheese,
Mhm.
fruit, and then whatever else it was. Whether I want to put cereal, I didn't really do the pancakes. I was a
Mhm.
dumb motherfucker who wanted to do 3 cereals and just fucking eat them all. And then so it was like doing that, and then when I went to MCT, it was the same shit. I didn't want to eat the MREs because I was fucking tired of it, and I noticed I was getting fucking fat, and I also went fucking bad shit crazy drinking on boot leave. So fucking I'll trade all of them as well, and then it'd be like, oh, you came with $20, like, oh, you broke it, cool, give me 10, and fucking selling M&Ms for $10 and like all this shit, and then we would go and I would get tuna packets, and then it was funny because when I got to my unit. I was there for 3 weeks. They sent me to Yuma for 2.5 months, and they didn't fucking pay me one of the months. So I literally fucking was living off tuna packets in the chow hall, or excuse me, in the fucking PX. So I bought 10, 12 tuna packets, and then I would separate it between like 2 a day. and then I would fucking go either eat it once at the chow hall or go like get pasta or something. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna carb load. I'm gonna put carbs here, eat it once a day, and then I'm gonna fucking do that. So my roommates were like looking at me. They're like, bro, why are you fucking eating like you're poor? And I'm like, oh, I can still get my protein in because every day it was just going to the gym, going to the gym. I worked 6 days a week then, so it was funny as fuck because people were noticing as well, and that's why I asked you that, you know. And I love how you're all like, "What are you doing?" Because that's exactly the shit people would be doing. It's like, "Bro, what the fuck are you doing? You know, why are you eating healthy like that? Whatever." And for me, you know, I'd make that excuse. I fucking hate the chow hall. I hate how it's just so bland. It's the same shit over and over, and I don't want to eat this fucking cold ass chicken salad every day. And it was funny because it was like you can still make this shit happen even within your budget. You just have to figure this shit out. And a lot of people don't think that. So I love when you're posting that shit, man, because it makes me laugh because I'm like, bro, I was doing the same shit, was bartering, figuring out what I can do. Hey, these goals still need to happen. Workouts still need to happen. That was the second part, was you were talking about the workouts. And for me, I used to always complain about that. My wife would be like, oh, let's go to Fresno for the weekend. And I'm like, no. So I bought fucking kettlebells for that. I started doing burpees outside. I just got another gym membership for over there. And it's like, if it's important to you, you'll figure it the fuck out. And that means getting up earlier, doing whatever. During the week, I get up at 3. So it's funny as fuck, you know, when I hear people and they're like, oh, I don't have time to go to the gym. You're like, you don't have time or not. You know, we literally talked about before this. You're doing push-ups to get ready for the interview. You know, I'm doing burpees, and we both can talk about not having time. But the fact is we do have time because we make it committed to have that time.
Yep. Yeah, man. And a lot of people say, you know, they always come with that excuse, I don't have time, but people don't realize that, man, there's 24 hours in a day. You know, when was it? Like 2 days ago, I was talking to some guy. He's overweight. You know, he's like around 30. He's always talking about, man, I don't have time to work out. I work too much. And I'm like, I asked him, all right, how much do you work? You know, how much do you work? He's like, oh, I work from 9 to 5. I'm like, okay, that's 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 8 hours. You work for 8 hours. You sleep for another 6. So that's what, 14 hours already? And I'm like, what are you doing with the rest of the time? You got like a whole nother 10 hours that you're just burning out the clock. And he kind of stood quiet. And I'm like, you see what I'm getting at? I'm like, I see you post yourself drinking every day, every weekend. So you do have time. You just want to waste your time instead of, you know, so you want to burn off your time instead of wasting that time making it valuable. So a lot of us have that problem, man. You know, we tend to, like how you said earlier, we tend to let our excuses dictate our life, man. So that's very important. It's called a time management, man. So people need to understand it, and that all comes with changing your mindset, you know. Because when you have the tools, you're like, okay, I don't need to do this, but I have to do this, you know. So it's about changing your wants and focusing on your needs, you know, because it's not about you anymore. It's about what you have to do.
Oh, I love that. And that brings me to the next thing. So I'll ask the last question before we get in the final one.
Mhm.
But talking about that real quick. Yeah, man, I love the way that you said that, especially when you talked about time management. But two, and this is something Wes Watson talks about all the time, you know, is the power of the subtraction of everything. Is people don't fucking realize, bro, when you cut out the bullshit, how much you just don't want that anymore. And then if you do want it, you know that it is for a fucking reason. So for me, it was like, I don't ever want to go out, party, drink, whatever. Like, I just don't want to be around motherfuckers. It's a different fucking energy over here. Like, I'm getting up early. I don't give a fuck what it is. I just don't want to be there, be around some bullshit, right? So that's normally me. But then when I want to drink really bad, I'm like, oh, because I know this is from a feeling of some energy that's built up in me, you know, strong emotions. I'm pissed off, whatever it is. And that's me trying to run back to my old ways. So for you, brother, when you started subtracting the things, realizing that being around the people, you know, the things that weren't serving you, you didn't need anymore, the playing video games, doing all the dumb shit that kept us in that box. What was it like when you started removing all those things and then had that realization of, oh, this is how life is?
So once I started, like, you know, subtracting all that stuff, you know, because I came from, you know, I was drinking every day, so I was a heavy alcoholic, bro. You know, ever since I was a youngin', bro. So I was, you know, I grew up doing that, you know, fucking like pharmaceutical drugs, all these pills and shit. So, you know, once you know, started changing all that out, and I started realizing how much time I really have and how much time I was wasting, it was kind of like mind blowing, to be honest, because I'm like, damn, that's when all that, like, damn, this is happening to me because of this. This is happening because I did this, you know, because people don't understand that all that stuff is kind of like, it turns off your brain, so you stop thinking and you stop, you know, your imagination stops, so you stop working on your goals. So once I cut all that out, man, that's when I started realizing, man, like, what am I doing? I'm just wasting all my time. You know, time is ticking and time doesn't wait for nobody. So I realized all this time I burned out. I'm like, all right, man, let's get to it, man. You know, I started setting up goals. Boom, knock that one out. Next one. Boom, knock that one out again. So you know, it's just about, you know, creating new goals every day and every day, man. Because you know, as you grow in life, you can't settle for less. You know, it's about creating new goals and keep hitting them. You know, because at the end of the day, man, we have all this time in life, and if you settle for one thing, man, that's how you get stuck forever, bro.
My man, I appreciate you in 100%. You know, I did the same shit, drank every day. Uh, it didn't lead me to anything good. You know what I mean? And then even my grandfather died, was taking 1,000 milligram edibles, being high as fuck. And I was just like, yeah, this is good. And then getting fatter. And it was funny because my cop out was, oh, I went to the gym though, but you
Mm.
see me in the gym, but I lift 315. And it was like, you just fucking hear how stupid you sound, bro, of like why, what you're doing, you know, and really was listening to that. And then I was also thinking about that picture, you know, and we're talking about where we're from, whatever. And I was like, bro, my parents, everybody, you know, my dad was work hard, play hard. So weekends he'd go crazy. But my stepdad every fucking day came home and drank. And I was like, I can't fucking do that. My mom drank every day. And it was like the last thing I want to do is pass that on to my kids. But two, it's like, how could we fucking complain about an issue being so drastic to us, but it doesn't hurt bad enough because we still do the same shit. And, you know, like we're talking about, the removal of everything made me realize that was like, yeah, you know, I'm grateful because in the future, I got to be that man that I respect. And I'm the dude now that starts making fun or starts copying or joking on people about them fucking drinking. And I'm like, yeah, buddy, keep talking. And then they're like looking at me all pissed off. And I'm like, you're mad because it's fucking true. And two, it's like, I don't fucking do those things anymore. So I know the power of what it is. And I start laughing now, you know, when I hear somebody start talking about how hard it is. And I'm like, bro, I fucking been there, done that. You want to have the conversation? Let's do it. If you don't, I'm laughing because I fucking used to do the same shit and will make those excuses. So I appreciate you, my man. You've been an amazing guest. Where can people find you if they want to keep up with you, brother?
All right, so to find me on Instagram, it's at Hard Hit Fit, YouTube as well, Hard Hit Fit, and I'm on TikTok as well, man. So I'm on all three platforms, on Threads and everything. So you know, on YouTube, I always post everything about me, you know, macros, life stories, and you know, how to overcome, you know, certain situations. You know, on YouTube, I mean, on Instagram, I'm showing my consistency, posting every day, and yeah, man, you know, just if anyone wants to DM me, you know, Instagram's is the way to go right there.
For sure, brother. We'll have that in the show notes. And I'll leave you with the last question here. What would you say to the previous version of ourselves? We don't know where to start. We're just trying to align ourselves with our definition of success.
To my previous sub, I would say change your perspective, man. Because once you change your perspective, everything, the whole world around you changes. You know, the world is not as it is, but as you are. You know, it's as you view it. If you view something negative, man, it's gonna be negative. If you view it positive, it's gonna be positive. You know, it's just the way on how you view things and how you overcome the problem and go on from there, man.
My man, again, you got to come with the heat. And man, I think you summed up this whole episode perfectly of what we're talking about. You know, it's that perspective. And that's definitely what you do. You know, when you change that environment, you subtract everything, you get serious on those goals and you figure out, you know, what's important to you and how to live that, your perspective is going to change. And people don't realize that. You know, they think it's the one, not all. And in our case, you know, we realized that it was all those fucking things that made us become different human beings. And that's why we are on a different, you know, frequency level. And we just don't think differently than everybody else. Because we're like, bro, we've been there, we've done that. It doesn't lead to good things. That's why we help people because we understand that. So I really appreciate you, brother. Thank you for coming. I know definitely I'd love to get with you in person, you know, do an in-person episode in the future. So thank you again, brother.
Let's do it, bro. Hey, thank you once again for you know, having me on here, boss.